Good morning and welcome to another Wine Steward video. Thanks so much for watching these. And what we have before us is perhaps one of the absolute greatest dry rosés in the world. It comes from Blanc, France. It just got here. It's imported by one of our favorite importers, Kermit Lynch himself. This is Grenache. Yes, perhaps Domaine Tempier is a little bit better known from him, but he brings in a total of 4 different Blanc producers into the United States. He has had a lot to do with teaching we Californians about that very special haven of Mauvais on the Mediterranean coast. Blanc is the name of the place. It comes in white very occasionally and in red, and in this case, the absolute best, by some estimations, rosé in the frickin' world. And here you see it in normal size, 750 milliliters, and I'd like to see it better. Magnum! Yeah, we scored 4 of these, 4 magnums of Grenache Blanc Rosé. That is all. So many people now clamor for this wine, whether it's Domaine Tempier or one of Kermit's other Blanc producers. This happens to be my favorite for the price, just saying. Grenache, we scored 4 magnums. Well, we're going to come back to this Grenache subject in a minute, but what I'd really like to bring to you first, let's just call that a prelude, is the fact that we have a fantastic event coming up this Tuesday, and I would like to fill some more seats. This event deserves you. You deserve this event, especially because we have not shown fantastic California wine in too long. You might have started to think that the Wine Steward's all about European wine. Yes, we European, how do you, Europhiles or something like that. We've done a lot of France and Spain and Italy as far as events goes this year, and very, very, very little from right here at home. Yeah, we did go to Washington State, but even that's far away. Why don't we come closer to home and make up for this little deficit with 2 wineries in one night? One that's from north of here and one that's from south of here. These are very wine shoppy wineries. In other words, you're not going to go to the grocery store and find Dragonette on the shelf, nor will you find Unti on the shelf. And in fact, these wines are not really made for the casual shopping grocery store wine buyer. And I know we are, all of us, that person once in a while. But you come to a wine shop for something a little smaller production, something better. It might cost a little bit more, but this is tiny production, better stuff from each of these producers. And what's cool is one is from north of here, Unti, in the Dry Creek Valley. Everything they make is from their own estate, so they farm for their wines. In other words, they have full control over the quality of their product. They've been dropping a lot of fruit lately in order to make a more intensely flavored wine, and you can tell. I've been following Unti for a long time, but I can now say with confidence, and I can also bring this phone down a little bit so the labels actually show. There we go. I can say with great confidence that these wines have gotten better, and has a lot to do with their cropping, the fact that they're willing to drop some money on the ground in order to come up with a beautiful wine, a more concentrated, beautiful wine. Concentrated, does that sound like the wine's bigger? No, the flavors are just more concentrated. What I admire about both brands is that they have balance and form, and they're well framed, and they're not stupid and over the top. If you want big concoction wines, go elsewhere. Come to Unti and come to Dragonette for balance. Restraint? Yes, but delicious restraint. In other words, these are wines that you want to drink a second glass of. You're not tired of the wine by the time you finish glass number 1. And that's a dream come true to the producer who wants to sell you more wine, to I who want to sell you more wine. We would like a wine to be more consumable, right? So that we get more turns, right? Inventory turns is how you make it in this biz, or any biz, really. I didn't say enough about Dragonette. What we have not done in too long is a so-called Sideways Country event. I promise to do it someday. But in the meantime, why don't we bring you a winery that was certainly going to be a core producer of that all Santa Barbara County event. That's what we call Sideways Country, because the movie was filmed down there back in 2004. Can you believe that? Dragonette, one of our favorite wineries of Sideways Country. And what do you think they therefore specialize in? Yes, of course, Pinot Noir. There will be a couple from Dragonette. And Syrah, yeah, we love that grape variety, and they make a beauty. And what will surprise you, perhaps, is their absolute favorite wine is not Chardonnay. They now make gorgeous Chardonnay, but what they came out of the chute with as a white wine product from their winery was fantastic Dagenau style. Dagenau is in Puy-Fumé, across the river from Sancerre. Dagenau is a fantastic producer. The primary guy who started the whole thing, Didier Dagenau, passed away, and yet his family carries on, and they make fantastic Sauvignon Blanc. And I would say that the Dragonette guys are inspired by that wine to make a whole lineup of really great Happy Canyon Sauvignon Blanc. So anticipate one or two of those as well. And this night will have zero Cabernet, but it will have so many other fantastic things for which California should be proud. So sign up for the event. It is worth it. It is 12 wines, 6 wines from Unti, 6 wines from Dragonette. It'll be great. We'll have a little slideshow, look at some maps, but most importantly, smell and sip and talk about 12 different wines from these 2 very deserving small producers in California. Let's hear it for our own home state for once. Now, let's tell you real quick about what's going on in the wine bar, and I refuse to taste them all in front of you, otherwise this will be yet another half-hour-long video, and we're getting better than that lately, right? We're being more efficient. I will try a couple of these things because they are irresistible. So I'm going to put this mystery wine, I won't even show you the label yet, in this glass. I'll tell you about it in a second. But first, let's tell you what we're doing by the glass at the wine bar this weekend. The menu is published. We had launched it yesterday. I didn't get around to doing this video in time, but I will tell you that the sparkling wine of the week is Fontanelle. And this comes from the Collio area of northeast Italy and is made entirely of a grape called Ribolla Gialla, which is really fun to say and fun to drink. Nobody dislikes Ribolla Gialla. It's just too doggone friendly. It's as friendly as that name sounds, Ribolla Gialla. And it's done in the Charmat method, in other words, tank method, a la Prosecco. And because of that, it costs less. So this is a nice, affordable, mid-teens, maybe sparkling wine of the week. Instead of doing champagne, let's do something fun and a little more availably priced for once. So Fontanelle Ribolla Gialla is the sparkling wine of the week. All right, well, we always do, or try to do, a Chardonnay of the week. And this is offered by the glass this week. I tasted it 2 weeks ago and said, we got to have this, especially because it's winemaker Jeff Meyer of J-Lore makes it, and he lives here in town. So it would be nice to have something for native Jeff Meyer, or at least Pleasanton inhabitant Jeff Meyer, to see of his own making on our shelves. This is not the regular J-Lore, which is very deserving Chardonnay, but this is a bump up. It's called October Night, or Nights, is it plural? October Night. J-Lore Chardonnay from Arroyo Seco, that's just adjacent to St. Lucia Highlands in Monterey County. A fantastic place for Chardonnay. This is gorgeous. If you like them on the richer, yummier side, this does that effect intelligently. In other words, it's well framed, but it is generous. It's nummy numb, and in not capital letters. So it keeps it down a little bit. Very nice Chardonnay. Now, this is cool. A long time ago in downtown Los Olivos, I tripped over a tasting room presenting the wines of Cayena. I had never heard of it before, but I just, on a whim, went in, enjoyed the wines, and remarked especially on the fact that I was so happy that they made not one, but several different Grenaches. Grenache is kind of like their claim to fame, as a matter of fact. How many other people say that? How many other people specialize in Grenache, at least in California? Cayena does. They bottle several different ones. This one just got here. Yes, it's finally available to the wine steward. In 10 years of knowing of this winery, I have never seen it available to us. But finally, we have Cayena Grenache in the house. I want you to fully know this wine, and that's why we're offering it only by the glass. If you have one little sip, maybe it'll go by and you might not notice too much, but if you have a glass of this, you'll want a second one. Cayena Grenache, it's beautiful. All right, that's offered by the glass. Now we're going to do a white flight. Of course, we always do. We change the theme every week. It has something to do with this. That is hard to spit out, but I did. So, what's the theme this week? Let's have a Sauvignon Blanc inquiry. We haven't done such a thing in a while, so let's line up 5 different Sauvignon Blancs of the world in front of you, and you'll try them one at a time, 2-ounce pours of each of these. Of course, you can order a glass of your favorite afterwards, but we suggest you try them all and identify what kind of Sauvignon Blanc you like. This is from Acumen. Acumen is an Napa Valley producer, and more site specifically, they are high up on Atlas Peak, and that's a place where you would typically grow Cabernet because that is the most lucrative crop to have, and Cabernet does very well up there. Well, so does Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc is not as lucrative a crop. This is a $25 wine against their, $75 Cabernet? Well, why wouldn't you grow more Cabernet? At any rate, I think it's to their credit that they do grow Sauvignon Blanc up there as well. Acumen Sauvignon Blanc. It doesn't say Atlas Peak on the label. We just happen to know it comes from there. It's just called Mountainside, I think. Yeah, Mountainside Sauvignon Blanc, to imply that it came from up there, not down there on the valley floor. Delicious, very pristine Sauvignon Blanc is Sauv Blanc #1 on that Sauv Blanc flight. Number 2, this is something that some of our wine reps, and even I in a wine bar flight, would save for the very, very end, because nothing is noisier, almost more hilariously flavored than Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough, New Zealand. Actually, this is from North Canterbury, but same idea. It's very Kiwi. Its flavors and smells are audacious, they're delicious, but super tropical. And it's like, how can you have anything after this? And normally we would put something like this at the end, but something does work after it. As fun as this is, this cheeky Sauvignon Blanc, I'll tell you what really sticks out beautifully afterwards. Sancerre, good old Sancerre from the Loire Valley of France. This one's imported by Charles Neal. We recently showed it at an event and we have some left over. So why not get it in front of more of you? So Sancerre is the name of the region within the Loire Valley, super famous for minerally Sauvignon Blanc. In other words, they are blessed with chalk and quartz and sand and all kinds of gravels, and basically whenever we're having a good Sancerre, we are hoping to have, of course, some pretty fruit, but also a sense of minerality. Fancy word, but when you taste this, especially when you feel it, you will understand what we mean by that. Okay, so Sancerre is Sauvignon Blanc #3. Here comes a wine that is not just Sauvignon Blanc, but it includes Semillon and Sauvignon Gris. So where do you think that would be from? Semillon, where do they grow that? A lot of it in where? Bordeaux, France. So we're gonna go south of the Loire Valley to Bordeaux. And if I can just find that bottle, I can show it to you. Yes, Chateau de Serron. And like I said, Sauvignon Blanc, and the Bordeaux way would be to include Semillon in the blend, and occasionally something called Muscadel, and instead of that there is Sauvignon Gris, more rarely applied, but here it is in this beautiful wine that was recently in the World Class Wine Club, by the way. So that is from Grave. Looks like Graves or Graves, but they typically say Grave, and that's a great place for white Bordeaux, Sauvignon Blanc based. Finally, the wine that is in my glass, the mystery wine, here it is. This is Volmut, and I do not dare pronounce all of the names of the particular site from which it comes, but it is from where? All you have to see is the top of the bottle. Nearly every Austrian bottle of wine will very cleverly use this. It's great for marketing. If you go through the store and you're looking at all these bottles on the racks and you see this Austrian flag on the top, you know where it's from. This is Volmut. This got 94 points from the Wine Advocate, not because it's noisy. I mean, the Kiwi wine, the New Zealand wine that is, that costs maybe a third as much as this, is noisier. This is a less is more wine. This is beautifully pristine and ageable Sauvignon Blanc. It's only starting to come out of its shell. This one was opened, the bottle I'm having, yesterday, and so that's helping it bloom a bit, but it's, oh my God. The florality, it's very delicate. Austrian Sauvignon Blanc, if it matters to you, 94 points from the Wine Advocate, but we love it, and we were only granted 2 cases of it. That's all we could buy. That's very, very special stuff, very rare, and that's the kind of thing you would hope to see at the Wine Steward, right? Let's take it to the red flight real quick. Cool thing about the red flight, it is mostly red, it is mostly from the Rhone Valley, and it is mostly imported by our friend Kermit Lynch. In other words, 4 of the 5 wines are new arrivals from Berkeley's own Kermit Lynch, the first French wine importer that we got to know way back when we didn't know anything about French wine. Wine #1 will in fact be mostly red. It is this aforementioned Gros Noret Bandol Rosé. None of you will resent or regret having this as part of your so-called red flight. Yes, we usually do straight reds in the red flight, but man, look at this. I mean, almost matches the shirt, doesn't it? Oh, wow. This is going to be based on what grape? If you're in Bandol, you're in the place that worships a particular grape. Mourvedre. You can say Mourvedre if you want, but Mourvedre, you kind of gasp that last syllable rather than uttering it. Mourvedre, and I think some Grenache, and maybe Cinsault is in here, but it's a 3-way, but mostly Mourvedre. The Bandol difference, a little more body. It's You know, if we think of pink wine as being feminine or effeminate, you got to get over that when you have Bandol. You feel a little more mouthfeel. It's got shoulders. It's kind of like the fullback of rosés, but it's still got gracefulness. It's gorgeous. Some people even age this stuff. I'm not aging it right now. That's already gone. Grand Oreille is wine number 1 on the so-called almost all red, almost all Rhone, almost all from Kermit Lynch play. Okay, so what else just came in from Kermit Lynch? A brand new batch of probably the best-selling wine in the whole damn store, Côte d'Aron. Côte d'Aron that is selected by Kermit Lynch. Inexpensive wine, it still prices in the mid-teens. It's one of the greatest values in our store. Even though it's gone up all of $2 in the last 15 years, it is still a great wine. GSM, I think there's a little Carignan in it too. So Kermit Lynch Côte d'Aron is wine number 2 on the red wine plate. Let's stay in the Rhone and go to one of the villages, a village that's right next to Vacqueyras, which is right next to Gigondas, which is very near Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Baume de Venise, yes, that's the name of another wine village. They're all virtually adjacent. And this will be, yes, GSM, again, Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre. No barrels. I think if it did see any wood, it was done in enormous vats called foudre. Foudre, that's yet again a French word that you can gasp the second syllable if you'd like, if you can say it right, or you can just give up and say foudre. How about that? Foudre. Easy. Like Mourvedre, foudre. All right. Baume de Venise Rouge. GSM. We're going to keep up that GSM theme by going here to wine number 4, and yet we're going to leave the Rhone and go way over to Collioure, and this is almost to the border of Spain, next to the Pyrenees, and right adjacent to a fishing cove. The vines look down on this darling little fishing boat-filled cove called Collioure. Collioure is the name of the village, and it's gorgeous. A few of you have actually been there, and I am very jealous of you, but someday I'll go. This is a producer called La Tour Vieille. It's long been in the Kermit Lynch import portfolio, and we've long had our eyes on it. The packaging has just slightly changed with this new bottling. This is the Puig en Bail, which sounds funny because it's not even French or Spanish. It's probably more related to Catalan, actually. And Puig en Bail means absolutely nothing. I don't know what it means, but what's more meaningful to me is 80% Mourvedre going on here, one of my absolute favorite grapes. So we're kind of flipping around the GSM thing to make Mourvedre and 10% Grenache and 10% Carignan in this case. Carignan proliferates in this area of south west France. This is the general area of Roussillon and the more specific area of Collioure, made by Domaine La Tour Vieille. It is beautiful. It is, frankly, hey buddy, my favorite wine on the flight, okay? Just saying. Maybe that's because I just like to call attention to Mourvedre. All right, wine number 5, not imported by Kermit Lynch, but he certainly could have brought this beautiful Châteauneuf-du-Pape over. He brings over other Châteauneuf-du-Pape, most famously the Vieux Telegraph, Châteauneuf-du-Pape. But this is Saint-Cyprien. This is made by other people for another importer. Steve and Faith Ventrello of Vintage Wine Marketing bring this sucker over. We've long been looking forward to another vintage, a new vintage of Saint-Cyprien, and the nice thing is this Châteauneuf-du-Pape is not a 19 or even an 18, it's a 17, and it just got here. So it's got just a little bit of development going on now. It's just softening up. And yet it's a dark beast. It's a 94 pointer from, I think, Wine Enthusiast magazine, if that matters to you. It matters to us that it is dark and beautiful and soothing and rich. I get kirsch, that's cherry liqueur, and maybe some dried fig from it. Certainly some herbs de Provence, as we would hope for from a true Rhone red. And it happens here in Saint-Cyprien. Beautiful Châteauneuf-du-Pape. That price is under $50, so maybe enjoy a glass and take a bottle home as well. Be great with a barbecue this weekend. Saint-Cyprien, Châteauneuf-du-Pape, it's in the house. Well, I think that's all we have to tell you, except we really want to remind you, because I really love to see a full room of great wine lovers, lovers of balanced, flavorful wine from here in California, 2 very deserving small producers that the Wine Steward is proud to feature this Tuesday. Unti from Dry Creek Valley, Dragonette from, we could call it Sideways Country. It's going to be a delicious night. So please sign up at thewinesteward.com, order a cheese and meat platter to go along, and we'll all have a damn good time. Thanks so much for watching. We kept it short. We're getting better at this. Thank you very much, and come on in. Let's see you at the wine bar this weekend. Bye-bye now.